Good evening. Welcome to the next part of the modes where we look at the chords that underlie the major scale. Now this is important to know because what we're going to do is we're going to run through the chords up and down the neck, and then this is the foundation, and then what we're going to do is we're going to look at each chord in turn and build a scale shape around it. Okay, so before you can do that, you've got to know the chords and which order they come in. So the first thing that you need to be able to do is play the G major scale on one string up and down the neck, so the low E string, and you need to use your first finger. Now it's important you use your first finger. I always show students this and they start using their second finger or what have you. The reason you use the first finger is because you're going to make a bar chord with that finger more often than not, and so that's your reference point. So using your second or third or little fingers, a little bit daft. So first finger, so do it in G, so start on the 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret, 14th fret, 15th fret. Now the other thing to understand is the interval jumps that you're making as well. So you hear this in every kid's basic music theory lesson, but you should know this. So major scale consists of a bunch of jumps. So the first jump is a tone. So you're jumping 2 frets, that's a tone. Then you jump another tone. Then you jump a semitone. Then you jump a tone, another tone, another tone, then a semitone. So it goes tone. So it basically goes tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Okay, so you need to be able to do that. And then we're going to form bar chords around each one of these notes. So on the 3rd fret, the first one is major. Then we jump up to the 5th fret, minor. 7th fret, minor. Then we do our semitone jump to the 8th fret, major. Make another tone jump, major. Then we're going to make another tone jump. This one is minor. Then we come to, I'm going to show you a very weird, horrible chord voicing, but it does the job. Basically, it's a minor with a flattened 5th, but this chord voicing will do. Basically, we're on the 14th fret on the low E string, 15th fret, and then the 16th fret. So the chords, so my fingers are running one down to the other. And then we do, finally, right up the neck, we do another major. So hopefully you should be able to hear this harmonising. So we could also repeat this trick, and instead of doing full bar chord shapes, we could do our funny little F chord shapes, and actually you get a much nicer voicing for the weird chords. So the first one, so that's the minor version, jump it up, minor version, that's the major version. Now when we come to our weird chord, so we're going to start on the 16th fret, the 14th fret, so we've got, it looks like it's going to be a minor chord, and then we jump back to the 13th fret. So I'll just get this one up close. So just look at my fingers there. And that lays out, basically we're playing a first, a flattened third and a flattened fifth. And then to our final chord there. So it's quite, if you're into finger picking, or you could use your normal pick, it's just to pick through it, because if you play it in this voicing here, so basically we're on the D string, the G string and the B string, you play up it, it really, it plays the intervals in the correct order, the first, the third or flattened third and the fifth. So that in itself is a really nice exercise, and it's great for your ear training, because, you know, by playing it that way, it really nicely breaks down the triads that are contained within the major scale. So that's two ways of playing up the neck. So just standard bar chords, or we do it in the F shapes and play each note in order, so we get the triad sound. And then the third way is we're going to harmonise it in our seventh chords. So we've got a major seventh with the root note on the third, minor seventh with the root note on the fifth, minor seventh with the root note on the seventh. Then we come to the eighth. That's going to be another. That's another major seventh. That's on the eighth. Then on the 10th we have a dominant seventh. So that's the 10th. Then we come to here, which is the 12th. This is going to be a minor seventh. And I'm going to play a proper diminished chord for this one. So I'm going to move away from my bar chords. Now, often thinking where the root note is, I think my little finger is the root note, which is going to be the 14th fret, but it's the same note as on the low E string. So I'm going to play a diminished chord here. So the way I play that is basically like I'm playing a D7 shape, and then I'm adding an extra note below it, and that's on the 13th fret. And then back to here, our major seventh shape. But that's a bit of a cram to get your fingers in, so if you end it and just play a bog standard bar chord, that's absolutely fine. So I'll just run through that again. So major seventh, minor seventh, minor seventh, major seventh, dominant seventh, minor seventh, and that's your diminished chord. And then I'm just going to play a bog standard major chord on the 15th fret. So there you go. So again, you should be able to hear that being harmonised. And again, that is a really useful exercise in itself, because it's a good way of practicing all the seventh type chords that you're ever going to need, and plus you're hearing them in a major scale kind of context, and how they all harmonise with each other. So all of these three exercises are great ear building things, but they're also important visual reference points for when we start moving up and down the scale. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through we're going to look at each one of these chord types in details and build a scale around it in the next step. So, so make sure you can do all of this stuff first. that you know your way up and down the neck. You can make your major chords, you can make your seventh chords, your dominant seventh chords, your minor seventh chords in the right order, and do that triad exercise as well. All great ear training. And then what you're doing is you're building up a library of visual and oral references that you can hear for the next step. So see you in the next one, and we'll actually start breaking down these patterns. Have a good evening.